Hi guys, good day and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, you're welcome. I'm Oluwatosin and this is So with Tosin. Don't forget to subscribe, and to all my returning subscribers, you're equally welcome. Thank you so much for always coming back to watch my video. I really appreciate it and I don't take it for granted. In today's video, we are going to be learning how to cut this strap cow neck fitted dress with front slit, and this tutorial is going to be like drafting on pattern paper first, then transferring to the main fabric. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Now when you are cutting a dress like this, the basic measurements required are the full length, the bust, the waist. There's something I call first hip. That's like the skirt waist. Some persons call it skirt waist. I use it whenever I'm sewing like a fitted dress. I always consider the skirt waist. That's the first hip. So I'll be needing the first hip, the second hip, that's the main hip, and then the half length, the shoulder, and the armhole. So moving ahead, I marked out my waistline. Then the half length is 18. I added half inch allowance. Then I also marked out the chest point. Then I marked out the bust point. I used chest point of 9. Then I used bust point of 10 because this person is very, very chubby. Like this person is a plus size person, and then she wants, I'm using chest point of 9 because she wants like a revealing cleavage. She wants the cowl, like the neck part, to really, really come down. Then I connected that into a straight line. I labeled it. I went ahead to measure an armhole. An armhole, I'm also using 9 because the armhole is 20. I'm using 9. Then I went ahead to like curve the armhole. I curved out an armhole. The next thing is the neckline. This neckline is not really important in this style because eventually we're not going to use it, but it will not matter. But just as a guide, I marked neck width of 7, and then I did neck depth of 3. Then I curved out a round neck. You can skip this part, like I said. The neckline is not important at all. Then I went ahead to slant the shoulder. I came down with half an inch, and then I connected it to the neckline, and then I slanted the shoulder. So after doing this, guys, the next thing is to start inserting my main measurement. So I divided our bust by 4. I added 1.5 inch sewing allowance. I divided our waist by 4. I added 1.5 inch sewing allowance. Then the next is to measure a hip line. For me, if the person is tall or probably a plus size person, I use hip line of 9 from the waist region, like from the half length. I measure 9, and on that 9 is where I put my hip line. But if the person is not tall or probably the person is not chubby, maybe a slim person, I sometimes use 7. Sometimes I use 8, and it works perfectly fine for me. Then for the first hip I mentioned earlier, from the waistline I measure 4 downward. For a tall person, for a short person I use 3, and on that point is where I measure my hip 1. So I measured a hip 1. I added 1.5 inch sewing allowance. Guys, for our hip 2, this pattern paper, for our main hip, this pattern paper was not even enough because our hip is 53 divided by 4. This pattern paper was not enough, so I just had it at the back of my mind that when I'm transferring to my main fabric, I'm going to add allowance to the hip region. So on this pattern paper, I could not add allowance to the hip region because there was not enough left for me to like add allowance. I know you guys understand what I'm saying. So I went ahead to connect that downwards depending on how fitted I want the lower part of the dress to be, and then I cut it out. After cutting it out, guys, from the neckline, from the shoulder line, I'm going to measure 4 inches downward. If you want your cowl to like reveal your cleavage very much, you use 4. If you don't, 3 is decent enough. You can use 3, you can use 2.5, but in this case I used 4 because this client wants like our cleavage a lot revealing. I know you guys get what I'm saying. Then I'm going to like mark that 4 and cut it out. That's like how off it's going to be. So guys, I had to cut on the floor because my camera could no longer cover as I want it to cover. Like it could no longer cover if I'm using the table as I want it to cover, so I had to transfer to the floor. So now I'm using this pattern to cut out the back panel first. So I placed it on my main fabric. Then I want the center of the back to be a little bit lower. So I recurved the neckline for the back. I made it very, very low. I used 10. Then I added the allowance, sewing allowance to the hip region. Then I went ahead to cut it out. Basically, that was what I did here. And this dress is not going to have a back zip, it's going to have a side zip, so I didn't bother adding zip allowance. I'm just going to use my normal sewing allowance to like fix the zip, so there's no need for zip allowance. That was why I didn't put zip allowance on the back panel. And this dress is going to have half cut at just the front. The back, there's no half cut. That was why I didn't have half cut to the front. So I went ahead to like cut the waistline, removed the half cut first. Then I transferred the lower back, the lower part of the front panel on the fabric, and then I added the 1.5 inch sewing allowance to the waistline. I'm sorry, to the hip side. I added half inch allowance to the upper part. That is what I'm going to use to join it to the half cut that is coming. And then I cut it out, and there is slit at the front of this dress on the left side. So all I need to do is just mark the middle at the up and at the down. You can put a notch there, but I didn't want to notch this piece, so I just had to like mark it with my chalk. Then I opened it up with that marking. That helps me to tell where the center is. You need to do that so that your slit will fall at the right place you want it to be. So I just placed my ruler at that point instead of just ruling along. I didn't rule along, I just placed my ruler so to know where the middle is. And then I measured her half length, which is 18. I already measured where she want the slit to be. It happens to be 32. So I measured 18 as the half length, and then I measured 32. Then from the middle towards the left, I measured 5 inches, because the slit is not going to be like at the middle, it's going to be towards the side. So that was why I went forward with 5 inches to the left. Then I connected this into a straight line. Then I'll go ahead to just split it open. It is that simple. And that is it for the lower part of the front panel. Now moving over to where the work is gone. Let me see, gone. Like moving over to the half length now. That chest point, I'm going to split it open, but I'm not going to open everything. I'm just going to split it open and then secure it down with a sellotape or whatever you can lay hands on. Just secure it down so that it doesn't like shear into two. After then, I'll be transferring this to my main fabric, and then I'll open up that point that I splitted, that chest point that I cut. Guys, note that the higher you go, the more cowl the neckline will be. The higher you go, the more revealing the neckline will be. The higher you go, the more exposed the cleavage will be. So since this person already told me she wants it exposed, I used 7. You can use 6, you can use 5, you can even use 4, you can use 3. It depends on what you are trying to achieve. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. So in our case, I used 7, and then I just pinned it down so that it doesn't shift away from the 7. So I pinned it down, and then I went ahead to like use my chalk to trace it out before going ahead to cut it out. So guys, if you've been with me from the beginning of this video till this point, please don't forget to support me by subscribing, and then let me know your thoughts in the comment section. This is me here cutting facing for the front piece. I cut facing for the back piece as well. Guy, if you have any question regarding this, please ask me in the comment section. And then I went ahead to cut this strap. I used 1.5 inch wide, and then I used 12 inches long for the strap. So basically that is it for this dress. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe, and please share my video amongst your soulmates. Thanks for sticking with me from the beginning of this video till this point. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.